Hello, happy Sunday evening. I have found a window to go live. If you have been hanging out with me for a while, you know that I don't go live very often, mostly because I have a lot going on. I found a little window here. I don't know how long it will last. Today has been a sick day for me and my son. My son is actually sick. We had plans this morning to go to a back to school picnic, and he's got a cough. So we decided to stay home. I know there's a lot going on right now. I'm feeling not sick, but I was very tired today. So I ended up taking several naps. And we've just been laying around all day. I did have group coaching. I had my first group coaching session today. I was kind of feeling nervous about launching that option, but I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of people out here and people have different approaches and different needs to healing. So I went ahead and launched it. Today was the first day and it went really well. I just recorded a podcast episode. So I just want to come on here and hang out. Like I said, I'm pretty low energy, but I have laid on the couch a lot today. I'm just sitting on my laptop fan, so let me know if it's too loud. I know some people don't mind it, and some people are like, "Ew, this is too loud. Get me off of here." So let me know. But yeah, I just want to come hang out for a little bit, see where you're all at, see if there's anyone who wanted to process anything tonight while I'm free. Um, I did just record a podcast episode about abusive people driving a wedge between parents and their children. It's a yucky episode. I don't like talking about it, but it's very important to talk about. I think we need to talk about it a lot more than we do. Um, it's a very yucky thing. No one should have to go through that. No child should have to go through that. But it is the reality for many people. So stay tuned for that. It'll probably be out in like 3 weeks because I have 2 in the queue ahead of it. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have to talk about for an intro. So I'll just see where y'all are at, see what you want to talk about. And then once I finish this up, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to go to bed early tonight. You should go to bed early tonight too. I have a question. When you're doing things you used to get reamed for, great word, do you still get nervous or jumpy? Mm, yes. I want to make sure I answer this correctly. That sounds weird. So obviously I never want anyone to compare. Do not ever compare yourself to me or anyone else who's healing from abuse because that's not how this works. We're all on our own journey. I am in a unique situation. It's not super unique. There's probably many of you like me, but I stay single, and it's not because I want to avoid triggers. It's not because we can't avoid triggers forever. We have to actively try to heal them. And when you're not in a relationship, like I have no idea what I might get triggered by if I were to be in a relationship. So I want to put that out there. I do, however, live with my ex-husband. Hopefully not for much longer, but that is something that we have been doing for the last almost 2 years, because that's what makes sense for both of us. It's also very unfortunate. Neither of us love it, but it's. So I do live with someone who I was in a relationship with, who I was not in a happy relationship with. Um, Great question. I'll get to that in a second. And so sometimes things come up that trigger me. The things that come up with him are all about parenting. It's all about um, what we're doing with the kiddo, things like that. And so I can guess that that would also be something that would trigger me if I was in a relationship, or possibly trigger me. Um, and also, like, I have done a lot of work to minimize triggers because they're always going to be there. That pain's always going to be there, but we want to get to a point where it's not like taking over us. We're not doing like knee jerk reaction type stuff. Um, and it's more just like, ooh, this is a tough one for me. I don't like this. And I've gotten to a point where I can either communicate that I don't like that. This is very sensitive for me, things like that. Or I can just be like, this is just how he is. This isn't about me. This isn't about my parenting. This is whatever, if that makes sense. So Nikki, I want to just say that, like, that's me personally. Um, it's completely normal, especially for a while. And a while is going to be different for everyone. A while might be 6 months for you, a while might be 6 years for you. I talk to people who've been out for a very long time, and it's completely normal and it makes sense. I think this past week, sorry, sometimes my brain stops when I like start reading someone's message while I'm still talking. But this past week, my podcast episode was about like sort of recovering from having your child been used as a pawn. And if you're not a parent, bear with me on this one. And I talk about some of the things that, like, when I'm traveling with my son, I think that's one of the biggest things that have stuck for me. Like some of the things that are about my body, or like my ADHD and how I do or don't do things. Like a lot of those things I've worked through very well. And have, I think, like learning to appreciate my own company and loving myself for who I am, and not receiving the messages that society has told us about, like being ADHD or being queer or being this or being that, being a woman. I don't know. But when it comes to the kiddo, so if you want to listen to that podcast episode, whether you're a parent or not, whether you've been abused or not, if you're a parent who's not been abused, you still have those messages. But it's just like things that come up where, like, I'll be afraid that someone will think he's a brat, or I'll be whatever. And so, yeah, those things stick with you. I agree with being single. I won't until my kids are older. I just have zero desire. I think a lot of it also has to do, like, a lot of it has to do with, like, that I've spent a lot of time dating people that, like, now looking back, I would never have dated if I had just liked myself. I'll wait, because I feel like, no, you don't have to say anything, but I feel like a lot of you are going to relate to that. There have been people who've just come into my lives, whether they're abusive or not, whether they're abusive or not, and just been like, I like you, basically, like, we're going to date now. And I'm just been like, okay, whether or not, like, I was really that interested in them. And so I don't want to spend any time doing that anymore. And I very much know, like, the kind of person who I would be interested in actually dating, which I don't share publicly, would be very hard to find. And so I just am like, that's okay. I don't need it. I don't, and I don't really want anyone in my kid's life in that capacity again. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with being single. I think that there's still a lot of people who'd look at us who choose to be single and think that there's something wrong with us. But I think that there's something right with us, because we've realized that like if you choose to date again after abuse, that's fine too. But like, I think that people just think that if you're single, there's something wrong with you. And I think that we have just realized that there's many different ways to live, and it's fine. Love the option for the group. Thank you so much. I didn't think it would be that hard to find a group, because there are so many of us out there. I was surprised to find it was hard to find a group for me. I had issue with time and money commitments. Love the option to hop in and meet others who understand this part of me. Thank you so much for your feedback. I really appreciate that. And it was lovely having everyone there today. Thanks, Kat. It was weird because like this was happening and I was like, Kat's not in here. And then Kat came. Thank you. So yeah, I love the group option. A group is not for everyone. There are going to be people who have to have that one-on-one, and I have several options for that. But it's really validating, and it's really nice to have those other stories there, and to have hopefully a safe person guiding everyone through that and giving feedback and information and things like that. So yeah, tell your friends. Tell your friends if you want, if you know anyone who might benefit from the group sessions. Someone asked me if I can see your beautiful face twice today. Yes. Someone asked me if my ex-husband has ever brought a woman home. Not when I've been home. I don't know. We don't ask questions about like what each other's doing. I travel a lot with my son. I have no idea what he does when I'm gone. That's his business. He's never brought anyone home like when I've been here, when I've been home. And I don't know. I don't think he's ever had anyone around our kid. But yeah, that would be something else. It would be different if we had like a really big house and we lived like if there was like separate space, like separate living spaces. Like, yeah, my ex-wife is over there, or if we lived on the same property, but in like maybe I have like a tiny house in the back or something. Whatever, dude. Like I see someone's car there, it's not my problem. But yeah, we live in kind of a small house, so It's not ideal. Luckily, we have our own rooms and our own bathrooms. If we had to share a bathroom, I would have moved out within a month. Like, I'm not sharing a bathroom with anybody, with a man, with my ex-husband. Like, no. My ex would blow up and have really abusive episodes over time and leaving to go somewhere. I have 3 littles. I have to get ready now. So now when I'm getting ready to go somewhere, I get incredibly anxious and jumping. I have to try to talk myself down to know that I'm safe. Yeah, that's a very real thing. It's very stressful to get kids ready in the morning. Even like I only have one, and sometimes I'm just like, oh my God. But obviously, as you know, Nikki, like we have to stay calm because then the kids feed off of that, and we have to try to keep them calm. And like when you get really agitated and stuff like that, like you start losing. I will start losing stuff. Like, oh crap, I'm running in and out. It just like the stress adds to more stress, and obviously sometimes it just happens. But when you then have someone who's really pushy, really rigid, really strict, really like it's fine if you're like, I can't be late. You have to plan ahead, right? If you're one of those people who's like very strict about getting out the door, you have to plan ahead. You have to wake up early. You have to do all this stuff. But a lot of times it's someone who can't get their own self out of bed. They're scrambling. They're just throwing chaos at everyone else. And it can be really hard. And it makes sense that you feel that way. But I'm really proud of you because, like you said, you're trying to talk yourself down and know that I'm safe. So it's just in those moments when you're getting up, when you're getting them ready. I'm safe. This person's not here anymore. The kids are okay. We're doing our best, all of that stuff. So keep up the good work. You're not doing a good job taking a chill day. I took 3 naps. I went and I laid on the couch with my kiddo. I read a book for a little bit. I took a bath today. You're right, though. I am getting some work done. Like I said earlier, I just recorded a podcast episode because I was like laying on the couch and I was like, get up, Lindsay, like go and do something. I know that sounds really bad because I was like, I got to chill today. But I did chill a lot today, so better late than never. Sorry I'm getting food. Kat, we don't apologize, okay? We don't apologize for missing my live. We don't apologize for showing up late. We don't apologize for taking care of ourselves. You do not owe me anything. You do not have to be here. I like having you here, but like we don't apologize for being humans. Okay, thank you. I left my abuser because of your content. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I hope you're still in here. So that you could see my response. But yeah. Hi, Lindsay. Found your channel while trying to leave my abusive parents' home. I hope that it's helped. I know a lot of my content is like relationship specific. I've tried to do a lot more like an abuser or the abuser or something like that because it's not always in a relationship. It's colleagues, it's friends, it's siblings, it's roommates, it's parents. So I hope it helps. I still don't want to go back to the house, so I decided to go to the gas station to get food. Oh man. I wish you didn't have to. I didn't wish you didn't have to live like that. I appreciate the passion you used when you specified 3 naps. To be fair, one of them, I think I just like woke up for a little bit and then passed back out because I was like, I'm not ready to get up. To be honest, I don't know how long I napped today. I think it was a pretty hefty nap, and I'm very happy with that. I don't nap very often. I don't slow down very often. And I'm not glad that my kid's sick, but we are going to have another big day of like driving. We live in a small town, so everywhere we go, like probably 6 days a week, I drive an hour away and an hour back to come home because we're going, like I'm working in that town, I'm doing something in that town, all that stuff. So I'm glad that I wish my son wasn't sick. I can hear him coughing right now, but I'm happy that the universe was like, girl, you need to take a nap. Okay, I have a question. When I'm not wearing makeup and I look tired and like I feel like my face is very asymmetric, do I look like I have a lazy eye? Sometimes, like I never felt that way when I would wear makeup, but sometimes when I look like when I'm looking at myself right now, I feel like I look like I have a lazy eye. If I do, it's fine. But like, is it just me or am I like looking in 2 different directions? What's happening? Anyway, it's fine. Even though my ex-partner wasn't the kindest to me, I am really struggling to let go and I still love them. I'm so torn with I feel like I do. I am so torn with feelings and I question if it's me that was the actual problem. Am I narcissistic? He says I'm too much with my family and that I can't make a decision without them. I can, and my family are beautiful people, and he's made me believe that close friends also think this of me. But no one has ever said this to me before. I have dated people because of that need to be liked. Thank you for sharing that. that is really yucky. And from what little information that I have, because like I could look at this and be like, well, are you? Like a lot of us do rely on friends or family to help make big decisions. And a lot of it, like it's very scary. Like this world is scary. I'm about to buy a car. Does anyone have any information? Have you bought a car? What's smart? I don't know that much about finances. I'm going to lean on a couple people, right? And pick and choose from what feels right with my gut. Where should I go to college? Should I go to college? What you're going to lean on people. These are big decisions. What did you do with your baby? Might not work for me, but let me get some, right? We want that support. We come from tribes of people. We were in tribes. We were in groups. We were leaning on each other for support, right? So it's normal. And this, what I'm reading here, sounds very classic isolation, like blaming you for everything. You're the problem in the relationship. You can't make decisions without anyone, because if you're asking other people for advice and decisions that aren't this person, other people have access to your brain. Other people can influence your brain. Other people can blah, blah, blah. So this sounds very, very much just control tactics. And I would, if I were you, I don't like to tell people what to do, but hold on to that family. Do not let this person isolate you from your family. Keep them around to the best of your ability, because that's what they want. Yeah. So, and then you said I too have dated people because that need to be liked. So this is a huge thing that I have learned. Just like I'm a couple years from 40, you all. And I'm just at this point where I'm like, you know what? Like from babies, our families, people at school, teachers, society, they tell us who to be, and it's not who we actually are. So from babies, we have to learn to like not be who we actually are. You know, I spend a lot of time like letting my son be a little weirdo and creating what he wants to create and doing what he wants to do, talking how he wants to talk. Like obviously we have to have manners when we're out in public, and like we go out in public a lot. So a lot of people will be like, wow, he's so, and I'm like, it's because he goes everywhere with me. He knows how to travel, he knows how to do all this stuff, like whatever. But we're like criticized for being who we are, critiqued, all that stuff. Then we go out into the world and we have strained relationships with our families. We have strained relationship with, hi Robbie, welcome in. Friends, the people around us. And like, okay, we're humans. We're all going to have strained relationships sometimes, but we don't know if we're loved. We don't know if anyone actually cares about us. And then someone comes along who's not healthy, who's not good for us, and we get into those relationships. We just want to be loved. We just want to be seen for who we are. And we don't have a lot of self-love, because again, when we were little, we were told not to do that. Don't wear that. Don't do that. Don't talk like that. Don't like that thing that you like. That's weird. And it breaks my heart when I see like school children being influenced by each other, all dressing the same way, doing all this stuff. So I hope that helps. I don't see anything. I hope I can be on my own too. It's hard because everything in life is tied to them, and or like they pay for it. So I'm trying. It's very hard when you're financially dependent on someone. Luckily, I'm not. We help each other financially a little bit. Like we are saving each other each a little bit of money by living together, but I am not financially dependent on anyone. I don't necessarily want to be financially independent in Washington because it's very expensive. So I would be way better off somewhere else. But yeah, that's a whole other thing. I'm 2 years out of the abusive relationship, and I'm still refreshing to see your content. It's okay. I should go to bed. I should take another nap. It's still refreshing to see your content and keep reminding of things that I need to avoid. Little refreshers. It's a constant struggle, but gets better, healing day by day. Thanks. You're very welcome, and thank you for saying that. I'm always happy when people don't need to see abuse content anymore. Like I watch very little abuse content, and 2 years ago, I would like eat it for breakfast. Like I had to have it. I read every book. I listened to podcasts. I was doing all this stuff, and I don't watch a lot anymore because I want to see other things. But I really appreciate your feedback on that, and I think it is really important to keep some around and to remind ourselves, because it's as time goes on, it's kind of like after you have a baby and you're like, I'm never doing that again. But then you meet your baby and then you forget. Like people who've had babies will tell you over and over again, you kind of forget like how horrible it is. And then you have no baby and then it's horrible. And then you forget and you keep going. And so that can happen. The more that we are distanced from the thing that happened, we can kind of forget. And so, yeah, absolutely. Just reminders that, not everyone is safe for us. We don't have to live in fear that everyone is bad, but not everyone is safe. Take things slow, use your best judgment, listen to your gut, things like that. So thank you. Is there anything like the stages of grief when separating from an abuser? Sadness, anger, etc. Absolutely. I'm in a weird place where I don't feel anything towards them. No hate, no longing, no pity, literally nothing. I'm not sure if that's normal. Yes, that is normal. I felt that too. And there is definitely like the stages of grief apply to this as well. Anger, bargaining, acceptance. Can't think of all of them off the top of my head, but you can cycle through all of that in the course of an hour, in the course of a day, a week, a month, whatever. It's that cycle. And you can still feel that even way down the line. Yes, that was little man. He had to go potty. And he when I looked out, his legs were like, he was just like really running. So yeah, it's totally normal. And then feeling nothing towards them, like feeling completely numb, is also normal. Because you've been through a lot. I hope that helps. I like wanted to say more, but I'm not 100% sure where I would want to go with that. They blame me for everything too. I called the cops on abuser because he started to hit me. Luckily, I dodged it when I went to pack, and I called. Cops did nothing because abuser made it seem like I was the issue. Very, very common. Very, very, very common. First responders need to be trained on coercive control, and they are not. So this happens a lot, and unfortunately, very bad things can happen as a result. You are amazing. Thank you. You are too. I like turtles. Me too. Let me scroll back here. I'm a little bit behind on TikTok. Is this more common in the LGBTQ community, dating someone who you don't truly like? Great question. Thank you for asking me. I haven't dated that many people as a queer person. I've dated a handful. I do think that there is also, every queer person has a different experience, right? But I do think that there's more room for that, but also the same could be said for straight people who live in small towns. So it's kind of the same thing. Like, you live in a small town, there's one person who's like semi cool or whatever, and you're like, okay, fine. When I went to college, I'm not going to say the name of my college. Let's say the name of my college is Synergy. There was a term called synergy dating, and it literally meant the dating pool is small. There's not that many good choices here. So you're dating someone, you're synergy dating. You're dating someone that's like, this is just what my options are, right? Because the pool is often small. So queer people, unless you live in like a queer mecca, you might not have a lot of options. So for me, for sure, they were the only queer person that I knew of in town. And at the time, I found them very attractive. So that's, they were actually an attractive person. But it is like, had there been more options, had I had the option to go on dates, more time and feeling like there were more people out there, like it was very much like this is the only person. And then of course they move very quickly with isolating and causing all the problems and things like that they do. But I do think that there is something to be said about having a smaller pool of options. Yes. Hello from the airport. I just got done with my summer job in Alaska. So are you coming back here now? I was told it was weird that I wanted to be the red Power Ranger instead of the pink or yellow. See, a lot of that happens. A lot. My son, he's never been like, he hasn't played with dolls much, and he's never said he wanted to wear a dress or anything like that. But if he ever, like, he has very much liked the color pink through times in his life. Now he really likes blue, and I don't know if that's because he saw someone else that's a boy, identifies as a boy, liking blue or what. But I very much have always been like, all right, pink it is. One time for Christmas, he wanted earrings, so I got him stick-on earrings, and he loved them. He was like 2, and he played with them for a while and things like that. Because I never want him, like, looking at my son, I don't know what his sexuality will be. I feel like he's a cisgender child, just like he seems like whatever, but I never want to assume that, and I never want to, like, right now, like he is, I'm not gender neutral parenting anyway, but I'm happy to change that if that ever happens. But I never want to tell him that he can't like something, or that he can't prefer something, or he can't pick out like that toy from the box or that color from whatever, because that's just like, such a tiny example of like, you can't be the red Power Ranger, but at the end of the day, I feel like there's a lot more behind that than just being like, you need to pick this one or that one. It says a lot to you as a child, and you don't have anyone to guide you through that. Like, why can't I pick the red one? It's just like, don't pick the red one. What kind of podcast do you listen to? Right now, I listen to history podcasts. I always listen to mine when I publish, like the day that I publish. I drive to work on Wednesdays. I usually work at my main gig. And so I usually listen to it just to make sure that I said what I wanted to say. It makes sense. I didn't say anything like outlandish. And I'm like, oh no, I need to take that down. But I don't like, well, I just like listening to my podcast. And then I listen to a lot of history podcasts because that's what I enjoy. I like to listen to what came before us. But if you would like recommendations on like abuse podcasts and stuff, actually, I don't really listen to those anymore. I love your page. Thank you. How did you deal with the aftermath with friendships? Do you have any friends that found it hard? I got rid of most of my friends, like my local friends. I got rid of all of them. There's one that lives like in another town that knew my abuser, had a lot of like information, like knew what was going on and stuff. And I kept her because she was safe. She believed me. Like I said, she had seen some behaviors and things like that. She believed me, didn't try to stay in touch with my abuser or anything like that. But I pretty much got rid of everybody that I met from the time I met my abuser on. Did not keep them around. I think there were friends who found it difficult to share difficult things with me that they were struggling with for the first several months, because they were like, well, compared to what Lindsay's going through, one of them's in here now. It was like, what can I even, like, I'm having this struggle, but like, oh my gosh, like Lindsay's coming out about all this abuse and trying to heal from this and trying to get away from this person who's like stalking her and all this stuff. And so I think there were people who probably for a while were like, you know, how do I have a relationship with this person? But the people who sort of had that patience and compassion and waited for me are now like very solid friends, incredible, supported me through it all. So yeah, found it hard to believe he was like that. So my abuser was not a man, just to, yeah, they, them. Thank you. Anyone who didn't believe me is gone. Sorry, I didn't see the second part of that. Anyone who didn't believe me is gone. They weren't actually my friend, because I think that, I'm not just saying this, I think it was fairly obvious that abuse was happening. But I think that a lot of people don't want to believe it. A lot of people fall for the smear campaign, or a lot of people think it was justified because, you know, the abuser will say, well, I did this because she did that. She wouldn't let me go out. She wouldn't let me this. She wouldn't let me that. But they wouldn't tell the whole story. Why were you freaking out that they went out? Well, because the last 4 times you went out, they did X, Y, and Z, whatever, right? So they don't tell the whole story. So anyone who didn't believe me, I just was like, you're out. Makes it sound easy. Like, it's hard. It hurts. At the time, like now looking back, like not one of them am I like, oh, I wish that they could be in my life. At the time it hurts because you do, like, you want to be abused, or I should go to bed. You want to be believed because you've been being abused for so long and gaslighted and all of that stuff. Thank you for your response. You're welcome. When my half brother was like 1, he wanted to play with a baby doll. My father flipped. Said he, nope, I never did that. Shh, don't call me out. I think I might have missed that, but yeah, there's a lot of people who do that, or will subtly like take the baby doll and hand them a truck or something like that. And it's like, but then people don't realize that like baby dolls and kitchen toys and food, like my kid had a kitchen set and all that stuff, helping in the kitchen, doing all that stuff, sets them up, sets little boys up to be able to be loving and caring and take care of a household and do all, like, My kid knows how to clean, knows how to run the washing machine, knows how to crack egg. Like he can't, like I don't let him like make whole meals by himself or anything like that, but he knows how to cut with a knife. He knows how to do all this stuff because that way when he's an adult, whoever his partner is, if he chooses to have one, he's not gonna be like, I don't know how to do this. Like that's part of setting up children to be able to do all that stuff. I think I knew deep down, but once you told me, I was like, oh yeah, and put all the pieces together. Yeah, that's very common, Kat. Thanks for sharing that. I think a lot of times people are suspicious or they have a gut feeling, but they kind of don't allow themselves to entertain it because either because they don't really want to know. And I'm not saying that that's what it was, but it's like, I really can't imagine what this person might be going through. If that's the truth, I hope it's not. I actually have a friend like that right now where I'm highly suspicious. They live very far away. They're in a situation where I can't go and help them. And I couldn't probably get them to be honest with me if I even asked. And I know that, but I'm sitting here with bated breath. Like, please don't let it be that. It's very hard. And, or like, you just don't know. Hey Tracy, welcome in. I'm having a horrible night. I see that you responded more below, but I'm going to see what these other ones are. People don't want to get involved because they are also under the coercive control of the abuser. Thank you. Thank you for using the term coercive control, by the way. I'd like to talk about that more at some point, why I use that and I don't use other terms that I used in the past. Coercive control, if you don't know, is the blanket term for all the other things that people talk about publicly, like the buzzwords. But coercive control is all encompassing. It's everyone around you, your friends, their colleagues, your colleagues, the kids, everyone is being abused, used as pawns, gaslighted, manipulated, all that stuff. My former friend, who's the first person I came out to, said she doesn't want to be friends anymore. Then she blatantly dead named me, which is the most offensive thing you can do to a trans person. No. That's definitely not a friend. The friendship has run its course. Okay. I am angry and that's not okay. And I want to just be like, block her and get rid of her. And I hope you do draw that line really quickly and just get like, Tracy, I'm going to tell you, I had a couple people who, like, not to make this about me, I'm going to circle right back to this. I had a couple people who were my friends when I was dating women in the past. But then when I came out after marriage and started dating women again, they were like they changed a lot and it was a religious thing. And they were like, I can't because you're sinning. And I just was like, F you, then I don't want to hear from you again. Bye. And I immediately blocked them. Didn't hear the rest of their story. I didn't want to hear it. I was like, if you can't love me for who I am, where I'm at, because this is who I've literally always been gay. And you know that. And just now you're deciding that because your Christian husband said you can't like me, that you have to draw this boundary. And so, Tracy, the reason I'm telling you that is because this is one of those things where you can absolutely lay down that hard and fast boundary and say, I'm effing done with you. And then you're also allowed to cry and be sad about it and talk about it here and have to heal from it because it's not something that's easy to go through. But absolutely, I'm sorry that this person can't be a good friend to you because I know this is really cliche, but it's not about you. It's about them. And who knows why, but this is something that this person is going to have to deal with. And they do not deserve access to you anymore. Cooking, cleaning, and caretaking are life skills, not gender roles. Thank you. I have lived with grown-ass men for many years who either can't do many life skills or weaponized incompetence to the life skills. And I don't want that for my son. You're a great friend, Lindsay. You always have been and need your support. I'm glad that I came on tonight, Tracy, and that you were able to come in here. And we have some of our long-term good friends in here who know you as well and can support. Undue influence. Did I miss something? You'd swerve to have a friend that will treat you with you deserve. Yes. The decency that you deserve. What's worse is she called me Tracy dozens of times and she has me as Tracy in her phone. That's what I'm talking about. It's that whiplash of this person's been there, this person supported you for a while, and then all of a sudden, sorry, no. Oh, it's the other way I've heard coercive control, undue influence. Interesting. Come teach that to my household. The struggle, be real. Unfortunately, you can't teach people who don't want to know. I've tried. Okay, the shading grin accompanied with I've lived with grown-ass men who I cackled. Thank you. Thank you. I try not to say much about my son's dad because he's my son's dad and I live with him and he's not as bad as other people I've been around. He's not like he's not like I'm not gonna sit here and trash him, right? But sometimes I just gotta let out those little shit-eating grins about things because it's like hard. There's a reason why we're not married at the end of the day, and I'm sure he feels the same way about me where he's like, Lindsay's brought home more crap from the Goodwill again that I'm just gonna donate again. Like I have my hobbies, okay? It's the same mechanism behind cults and how they control members. Absolutely, 100%. It is the same tactics. It's in this book right here. It's in this book right here. I've been holding this. I recommended this at the end of my podcast that I just recorded, but Coercive Control in Children's and Mothers' Lives by Dr. Emma Katz. She's on Twitter. And I think she's on Facebook as well, but it's really important if you have kids or if you just want to learn more about this, because this is all, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I had to take a break from it. I started reading it a couple months ago because it's very hard to read. It's very hard to read and digest. So, okay. Grew up in a town of 350. That's it, 350. One other lesbian, a time known to me as the Dark Ages. Yep. Okay, I know you said that 10 minutes ago, but yeah, we're circling back over here. Thank you. I'm trying to process so much. I'm a very different person to who I was 4 years ago. The last time, which I knew a pattern to his behavior, was when I had my hair done and I felt so good about myself. I knew he would ghost me and vanish. So make me feel bad. Not able to sleep from the UK. Oh my goodness. Are you still in here? You just reminded me of the time that I got my hair done. I got it dyed. I never really dyed my hair before, and I haven't dyed it again. I'm kind of just letting the grays grow out. I don't really want the chemicals. But my hair was like really pretty, and it was like curled, like really nice and wavy, like the really pretty girls do. And it's not me. I can't do it. And I was at this house, and my abuser came over, and after like an hour, something came up and then they were like, oh, you got your hair done today? They knew I did. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, I wondered why it looked so good. It was a jab, right? It was you don't usually look this good. Your hair's not usually this nice. Usually you're looking kind of rough. So that's a really good example of covert abuse and how, like, if one day you're looking really nice and you're feeling really good, they'll just ghost you to make you feel like you're not valuable, you're not worthy, you're not lovable, you're not attractive. Or they'll say something to make you like, well, you look nice today, but we all know tomorrow you're not going to look, it won't last or something like that. Or they'll say, oh, I saw this girl I follow on Instagram today, or my ex-girlfriend got her hair done too, and it's so pretty and it's blonde. It's like the opposite of you, like whatever it is. They'll use anything. Hi, Lizzie. Welcome in. I know it's been like 15 minutes since I'm a little bit behind over here on Facebook and YouTube. So it's normal to, like, after you realize it's abuse, their face disgusts you. And also feeling stupid because I keep falling for the cycle and forgiving them. It's normal to feel stupid. You shouldn't feel stupid because it's part of the abuse. It's also normal to keep falling into the cycle, but also we need to get you to where you're not falling into the cycle again. But yes, it's absolutely normal to be disgusted by their face. I couldn't stand the way my abuser looked, the way they smelled, the way they acted, like anything about them when I was still living with them. And then I left. And I couldn't stand to see pictures of them because it was just like I couldn't unsee. And then also, like whenever I would look back on pictures that I used to think were like really sweet and romantic, or like there was one that I was like, oh, I love the way they're looking at me. But when I looked at it afterwards, like not immediately afterwards, but as I was processing and deleting things, there was like a very aggressive look on their face, or there was like the dead eyes, like the dead black eyes, or like they're never smiling. There were all these things that I didn't notice in the moment, but when you look at it later, you're like, this is a miserable person. And so like once you see the abuse and understand it for what it is, you can't unsee it. And I also can't unsee it elsewhere in the world. So jokes on them. I'm still repping Red Ranger at almost 36. That's right. Can you still tell your story, please? I'm new here. Are you still in here? I will give you a nutshell version of it if you're still in here. Hi, I'm new here, but I've seen a couple of your videos. Are you still in your relationship or do you just make videos about it? Okay, so I left the relationship we broke up in August of 2021 and I left and went no contact in October of 2021. So I'm coming up on 2 years no contact. However, I still talk about it. I still make content about it because I want to help other people. It originally was a huge part of my healing process. It was a huge part of like what I needed to do to get through that time. And now sometimes I feel like I could just never talk about it. Like I could just stop doing this and walk away tomorrow and just like post videos on my other TikTok of like butterflies in my mom's garden, which is actually what I do because there's so much more to me than just talking about abuse. But I still very much feel called to help, to educate, to validate, to give back the information that I have to keep going. Have they tried to reach out again? The last time they tried to reach out was in April of 2022. But somebody did try to break into like 3 or 4 of my accounts this summer while I was traveling with my son, reported my TikTok and broke into my car, keyed my car, and put my dog's ashes in the driveway and left all the valuables. So I would say that that was them reaching out. But that's it. I just was like, okay. Okay. Oh, I'm sure it's a good book, but I'm just looking at the cover and vibing with the colors. Yeah, it kind of looks like a quilt, and it is very interesting. Dr. Emma Katz is incredible, and she's very young, but she does incredible work, and her work is very important. And I wish that I had the energy and the time and the knowledge. I think I have a lot of knowledge, but maybe not quite like she's doing studies and things like. I mean, she's a PhD. You know, this is her job. This is what she does. But I wish that I had the organization to do something like this. But we have this book, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel. The opposite of you always warrants a bombastic side eye for me. Yup. I can't hold it anymore. Thank you for you finally using the thumb holes on the shirt. Yes. I was just thinking how out of all the times I saw them, I don't remember them really smiling. No. And this is something that I actually started recording a podcast on, but then I was like, do I sound like a petty little bee? Because I try not, like when I'm on here and you ask me questions, I'll be very specific about my abuser, but I tried to make my content more general and say things like an abuser could do this, an abuser could do that. On my podcast, I do give examples of what I went through because I want people to feel validated by what I went through, if that's what they went through as well. But there was one where I was like I wanted to talk about the eyes, the dead eyes, the like no expressions on the face and things like that. And then also you might notice that I almost never use this word anymore. I don't like to use buzzwords, but with someone who has NPD, or it could be a psychopath or a sociopath, they are very similar, but there's differences with them. And it can be hard to understand the differences. So that's okay. One thing that I did notice is that anytime they laughed, it was either a very forced fake laugh, which their laugh is the same every single time they laugh, versus a person who's not that way. And like my laugh is, I have my laugh, but depending what I'm feeling, it might come out as like a burst of laughter, or I might be like, like there's all different kinds of laughs, right? Or just like a little giggle or just a smile, but it's like a natural human. Like when I'm talking to you, you see like I'm reacting, you see lots of facial expressions, you see like all kinds of, like, because I'm just a human, so like people with those personality disorders don't necessarily have all those ranges of emotions that we have, and so they mirror other people. And so a lot of times, like if you're in a group of people and everyone else laughs, you hear this all of a sudden, 3 seconds after everyone else has laughed, a forced laughter. And they're doing it because they don't really understand the interaction that just happened. And they don't really understand how to have, they don't have like a natural laugh. So I succeeded at a thing, my narc, good, but just think if you applied yourself. Oh yeah. Yeah. They're compliments. Yeah. Yep. Or anyone can do that, or I did that, or you just did that because of me. What's the book's title? Coercive Control in Children's and Mothers' Lives. Unfortunately, this book is kind of pricey. Um, but definitely, sometimes she'll put out a whole chapter for free. If you follow her, she'll put out like, I just, published chapter 4 for free, and you can read that for free. So yeah. Hey, you're the only sane person here on live. Thanks. Yeah, thanks. There's a lot of people who are on social media that aren't very healthy and don't have very healthy messages, but there are a lot of people who are sane too. My ex made fun of different laughter. Oh my God, makes sense now. Yeah, because they deep down they know that they don't have that ability. I think that they know that. Um, and they'll make fun of a lot of people for a lot of other things because they don't have those abilities. Have you recovered since then? Yes. I don't believe in being fully recovered. I don't believe in being healed. I don't walk around saying I'm healed because I think that as humans, we're always healing from something. And the more that we heal, like the more that I heal from this abusive relationship, the more room there is in my brain and my body to heal things that happened before that led me to that point. Right. Um, but I have come very far and I'm very happy and I'm very healthy. And there's things in my life that I don't love and that I would like to change, but I am very happy to be where I'm at right now. How do you know if someone is a narcissist? You don't. Unless they get diagnosed, which they won't, you don't know if they're a narcissist. And so the thing that I always tell people is just look up what abuse is. Go to the hotline.org. They have all the different kinds of abuse and they give lots of different examples. And if this person is consistently doing these things, look up what's a trauma bond, look up the cycle of abuse because it's a cycle. Look up all those things and then be honest with yourself and say, yes, this is what's happening. And then try to get the heck out of there as safely as possible. I read that narcs only experience negative emotions, so they won't naturally laugh often. I think that, I don't know if that's true. I think that they, like a lot of times, unfortunately, NPD comes with extreme emotional neglect as children, emotional abuse and neglect. And so they spend a lot of times alone in their room, crying, processing, shrinking their world because they're realizing they can't depend on their caregivers. And so, yeah, they can't handle other people's negative emotions. They don't like when kids cry or when kids throw fits or anything like that. Like they might like a baby because a baby's just like, man, but as soon as the kid has their own thoughts and feelings and doesn't want to go to bed and doesn't want to eat that food and blah, 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 they can't handle it because they were not allowed to do that as children. And while we probably all experience, at least a certain age group of us, emotional neglect to some degree, theirs is very extreme and it turns into a personality disorder. And it is very sad, but it doesn't mean that they need to be in our lives. You've posted their laugh and I immediately go, what in the robotic hellish nightmare was that? Yeah, I had qualms about sharing their laugh because I knew that people were gonna like make fun of it, and I didn't want it to be about making fun of that like a specific person. I didn't like that, even though like this person is not nice. But I wanted to educate on that because it's like it's a real thing. Other than tonight, I've been great. I have a new girlfriend from work who's supportive of all of me. I'm so glad, Tracy. I hope that um, knowing that you are cared for and that there are um, other people around you who totally accept you for who you are and want to be around you. I hope that helps you um, to recover and work through what this friend has done. Never make fun, just observant scouts honor. Yep. Yeah, Gen X for sure experienced a lot of emotional neglect. So, and boomers and millennials. Um, yeah. So, like, my mom was born and put in a crib because her mom was born like just before the Great Depression. They like lived on a farm in the middle of nowhere in Indiana. They had a lot of mouths to feed. People didn't understand about attachment and child development and things like that. So we have all these people who are passing down emotional neglect because they don't know how, they don't understand it, they don't know how to love and support and nurture and things like that. So it's just been passed down, and we finally have generations who are like, screech, no, I don't want my kid to feel like I feel, thankfully. Would you ever be just friends with a narc? No. There are two that I very distantly have a connection with because they're creators, but I don't have personal connections with them, and I keep them I just don't, like, at first I would talk to them a little bit. I can say who they are. They're very popular on TikTok. And they're doing great work, but at the end of the day, they're narcissists, and I don't really want anything like that in my life anymore. So I don't know. If I meet someone and they're a friend or they're a friend's partner or they're this or that, even if they're self-aware, I'm very selective about who I spend my time with. So you can be on the outer circle, and maybe you make a post that I like sometimes, but no. And I'm not the type of person who's like, all narcissists are evil. I don't even use the word narcissist anymore. Like I said, I use coercive control. I'm not going to sit here and be like, they're all bad, they're all evil, they're all abusive, but like, no, I'm not going to. I'm very proud of you, by the way. I've been watching you since I was 12 with my mom because my mom has been through so much trauma and you have helped her. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Can we talk about the overcompensation with some parents, though? Toxic positivity can be dangerous. Thank you. Yes, that's very, very dangerous. So a lot of people will go so far to the extreme that they have very unhealthy connections with their kids, and it becomes codependent. I also don't like the word codependent, but like, what's it called? I can't think of the word. It's like something incest, where like the parent is dependent on the child. Like they're not like doing anything sexually, but enmeshed, yeah. But the parent is using the child as like almost like a partner. Emotional incest, maybe that might be the word. I don't know why I can't think of it. I think that is it. But we don't want that either. And we also don't want to, like, I know someone that I love very much who couldn't say no to their kids. And so their kids are very pushy and bossy to the parent. Parent doesn't get a lot of rest. The kids are running the show. And you also, like, you have to find that balance. And it's not going to be right every day. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to be like, I'm going to stop this cycle and I'm going to come right in here. All of this is good. I'm not going to do this, right? But it is hard. Humans have a tendency to swing the other way on things that we experience that we do. You burn your hand on the stove, you never use the stove again, right? From now on, I'm just going to microwave. I don't know, just an example. My parents pitted me against the other for fights. Yep, using children as a pawn, for sure. People who hurt people who hurt people. So thank you for saying that. I have made content about this. I don't agree with that. And just like Kat said, a lot of us in here are hurt, have been hurt, are hurting, and we don't hurt people. I have hurt people because of my trauma. I have like broken up with people and not been that kind because of my trauma. I left a really beautiful, amazing relationship because it was too comfortable and ended up dating a complete a-hole. This was 12 years ago. So I have hurt people, but I have never physically abused anyone. I have never, like, I'm sure I hurt my abuser. I'm sure they loved it. They got to use it as fuel. I did horrible, said mean things, all the things that you do when you're engaging in reactive abuse, when you're reacting to abuse. But I also was able to, like, when I was enraged, not throw things and break things in the house. And, I'm talking about physical abuse now. Like, I was like, I don't want to hurt anybody, even if this person's a horrible person. And we don't sit here. There's just a very real difference between someone who's like, I'm hurting, and maybe you're having a hard time having a relationship because you're insecure and you're all this stuff. you don't trust your partner, or you're like, what? So like you're hurting and you're struggling, but you're not harming people. Whereas abusive people are just out here hurting people all the time. One person after the other, after the other, after the other. So I would say abusive people hurt people. And sometimes people who are hurting will say something they don't mean and things like that. But I really don't like that saying. Childhood abuse creates a normalcy. Yeah, it's all you know. You don't know healthy, so you don't know how to find healthy. They often do not have empathy for others. They don't. And I wanted to talk about earlier we talked about them feeling negative emotions, and I know you've probably heard this from other people as well, is that like they can't stand when people cry, even children, because they think it's manipulative, because that's what they do. They only cry to manipulate. The only times I saw my abuser cry was to manipulate. So anytime that I was crying, they would be mad, they would be mean, they would say mean things, let me know when you're done, you're still going, what are you crying about, all that stuff, because they understand crying to be a tool of manipulation. Trigger the hell out of you until you react. Yep. We don't hurt people in the same way. Yeah. I'm doing my best not to hurt others, but I'm not allowing myself to hurt anyone anymore. So yeah, it's really important to have that awareness. Once you have that awareness, then you can pull back and you can say, look, like I knew after I left, I didn't want to be in a relationship because I wanted to take time for myself. But I was like, if I date someone, I'm going to rip that person to shreds, because I was not in a place to have a healthy relationship. Right. And so having that awareness, it doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean you're whatever, but like saying, look, I'm not a safe person to date. I'm not going to get on the apps. I'm not going to. And if I do meet someone else out that might seem like they're a good potential match, I'm going to say, hey, I can't right now. I'm sorry. If we meet again in 6 months or a year or whatever, maybe. But like, if you know that you are not emotionally available, no. I was sneezing. Did you say my name? I don't think so. We read that oftentimes BPD parents lead to NPD children and vice versa. Yes. So if you grow up with a parent who has a personality disorder, there is a chance that you will grow up with the same personality disorder or another personality disorder, because they do a lot of games with you. You're the golden child, or you're the scapegoat, or you're whatever. You're exposed to that you from baby, like it can get to you. So the difference is the true intent. We all hurt people at some point. We're human. Oh yeah, absolutely. I could hurt one of you right now. I could say something and hurt your feelings right now, and not because I'm like, not because I'm sitting here like I'm so mad and I hate my life, and I'm like, but I'm sure they're not even aware that they don't like who they are. But like, I'm gonna be out here and I'm just gonna be mean. I'm gonna be cruel, and I'm gonna call people names. I'm gonna be racist. I'm gonna be homophobic. I'm gonna tell you all that you're all stupid because you've been through all this and blah blah blah. Like, I don't do that. I would never do that. I don't feel that way at all. But I could say something accidentally that is a trigger for you. That happens a lot in my content. Like, I make content about homeschooling my child now, and a lot of people get triggered by that, and they will complain about people who homeschool, and it's because they're feeling insecure in their own choices, because society tells us that we're not good enough as parents, right? And so like we can accidentally hurt someone. Like, you could meet someone and say you don't like something, like say you're like, I like people who crochet are weird, and they crochet, which by the way, please don't ever generalize like that. Like, nobody's weird for doing something they like, right? But then you're like, oh, I crochet, that really hurt, like I wonder why they don't like things like that. Just, I don't know. The hardest thing is to admit we don't have relationship skills, even if we are perfect together. I mean, I don't think you're perfect together with anybody. I don't think anyone is perfect together. I don't think that's a thing. I don't think I'll ever date again if I make it out of this. I don't blame you. I mean, I'm 2 years single and it's been the best 2 years of my life. Do you think golden children end up disordered? I'm not an expert on golden children. I don't know about disordered, but definitely with a lot of trauma, and probably quite often very unaware of that for a long time. I feel like the black sheep grow up knowing that they're pieces of crap. Do you know what I'm saying? I was a black sheep. My mom's not a narcissist. but has a lot of trauma. And I grew up just knowing I was a problem, knowing I had trauma, knowing I was like, right? Because like you're hearing it from day one. You're the bad one. You're the problem, like all that stuff. So the black sheep, we grew up, we're like, yeah, I messed up. We have like a lot of dark humor. We all that stuff. The golden child is just like, I did it. I did everything. I went to college. I got my degree. I did everything my parents wanted me to do, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm married. Why am I so unhappy? Why do I not like my life? Why am I'm generalizing, but I think that's, yeah. I don't know if you are a golden child or a black sheep or whatever, you're kind of a pawn or a target of an unhealthy, not emotionally intelligent parent. I'm going to get another book. So it's going to be very hard for you to come out of that okay. That's your parents putting all of their lack of emotional intelligence and emotional availability and stuff on you and making it your problem. Running on Empty, Overcoming Your Childhood Emotional Neglect by Dr. Jonice Webb. This is another really, really good book. If you are a golden child or you're a black sheep or you have a parent with a personality disorder, this book helped me a lot I already loved my mom and I have a pretty good relationship with my mom. But this helped me the thing that I like about this is she talks a lot about how stuff is handed down to us, emotional neglect, all that stuff. And she does a lot of not blaming our parents for everything, right? Because like we can say it's my mom's fault. Like if your mom is abusive, narcissistic, any of that, coercive controller, right? We also know that someone probably made her that way. Her parents probably, XYZ to make her that way. And we can have that compassion and also not be around her, right? But a lot of us have accidentally neglectful parents. And so this gave me so much, like, do some of the things that happened or didn't happen with my mom still hurt? Of course, but I have so much compassion for my mom now and for myself because this is very real and this happened to a lot of us. She also has on her website an emotional neglect questionnaire. So you can see if this is you, which it probably is. A lot of us have this if we're honest with ourselves. And I can read these questions off if you want me to really quick. But then she also goes on and talks about the different types of parents that can harm us. I'll tell you what those are. And then she gives examples of what happens with the kid and how the parent dealt with it so that you can really understand and be like, this is me. And keep in mind that your parent could have been several of these, but the 12 things are the narcissistic parent, the authoritarian parent, several examples on that one, the permissive parent, which we just talked about, right? Yeah, sure. You're not really parenting. You're not really bonding with your kid. You're not really teaching them anything. They're raising themselves. The bereaved parent, divorced or widowed. So, if that's your parent, it's not their fault. They're grieving. They are having a very hard time and they're not in a brain space to raise children. And then the kids get neglected, right? The addicted parent. This is another one. The parent is so traumatized and so hurt that they're addicted. And it's not just chemicals, right? It could be shopping addiction. It could be gambling. It could be anything, but they're not in the space to be parenting. The depressed parent, same mental health situations. The workaholic parent, parent's not home, parent's not bonding with you. The parent with a special needs family member. So you have a sibling that's in and out of the hospital and you're being neglected because they have to put so much time and energy and money into the other child. The achievement or perfection focused parent. The sociopath. I'm almost done. The child as a parent. So this is the one where you see the child concerned about their parents' well-being, and it's normal. Kids have empathy. If I'm crying, my son's like, why are you crying? And I say, oh, mommy's just feeling sad. It's normal for people to cry and things like that. But he's not my parent. He's not responsible for my feelings, things like that. So if you grew up with a parent who you're just like walking on eggshells, trying to keep them happy and things like that, this is the the mom that I grew up with, the well-meaning but neglected themselves parent. So you have a parent who means well and wants to be a really good parent, but they were neglected and they just don't have the tools. So those are the 12 kinds of parents that can leave us where we're at. And I fully believe that if you are running on empty and you have not overcome your childhood emotional neglect, you're highly susceptible to being in abusive relationships. So whatever one of those or a mixture of those 12 parents that you had, and then you end up running on empty, we are highly likely to fall into the arms of abusive people. I got really behind. It's nice to be in a place where you can appreciate your partner. I don't know if I ever, yeah. It's survival skills that worked for us as a kid. Now we know better, but we still rely on old vices. Your past trauma isn't the best for your new person. That's right. And our brains don't need to be doing the survival mechanisms that they did when we were little. I don't think anyone is perfect for anyone or that there's the one. I don't either. Have an emotionally stunted mom. A lot of us do. Yeah. It's hard to see now. Like now that I understand it, it's very hard to see someone still suffering like that. So interesting. I always blamed it on society because I've been discriminated against. I saw something controversial about that book, but I didn't remember what it was. I'll look into it. I really did like the book, so I would be curious about that. Golden children seem to have issues surrounding perfectionism. Yeah, for sure. I feel like I've always been the parent in our relationship. I gotta go to bed. Okay, Tracy, thanks for hanging out. Book name again. Yes, Running on Empty by Dr. Jonice Webb. This is great. Please read. Okay, well, anybody have thoughts on the shadow work journal? So I looked into a shadow work journal when I was being abused, and that was going to be one of my answers to fix me so I could stay with my abuser. And then when I got out, I didn't do it. So I don't have any. Have you read the Celestine Prophecy? No, I have not. All this makes me mad. I wasn't seen or heard. So many of us have not. This is Running on Empty by Dr. Jonice Webb. Okay, I'm going to read. Get ready. So if you need to leave right now because this is going to trigger you and you're not ready, I will give you a second because it's not easy to talk about. I keep getting behind. The parent that divulges too much info about personal relationships and adult situations, 100%. Me and your dad are fighting because he can't hold down a job. He can't. You'll never hear me talk about. I will say things to my son about, well, daddy just, he's not here as much. So he doesn't know all the things that we do when we're, stuff like that. Like, well, he's working, so he's not going to, but like without being like, well, dad's working all the time, just so that my son understands like that it's not his fault or like his dad's not that bad, but he's not bad. But you know what I'm saying? Like communicating with them without making them feel like they are the therapist. Like age appropriately explaining, this is why mommy and daddy are different, or this is why mommy's going to go in a different house, or this is why, and it's not because your dad cheated on me or your dad like blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, Kat, send that to me for sure. All right, let's do it. Sometimes you feel like you don't belong when with your family or friends. Pride yourself on not relying upon others. Have difficulty asking for help. Have friends or family who complain you are aloof or distant. I don't know. Feel like you have not met your potential in life. Often just want to be left alone. Secretly feel like you may be a fraud. Tend to feel uncomfortable in social situations. Often feel disappointed with or angry at yourself. Judge yourself more harshly than you judge others. I'm counting in American Sign Language, by the way. Compare yourself to others and often find yourself sadly lacking. Less so, but yes, traditionally. Find it easier to love animals than people. Often feel irritable or unhappy for no apparent reason. I'm doing traditionally. Some of these are not anymore, but like I'm answering what I would have answered 2 years ago. Have trouble knowing what you're feeling. Have trouble identifying your strengths and weaknesses. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Tell me right now. Sometimes feel like you're on the outside looking in. Believe you're one of those people who could easily live as a hermit. Have trouble calming yourself. Not anymore. Feel there's something holding you back from being present in the moment. Present in the moment. At times feel empty inside. Secretly feel there's something wrong with you. Struggle with self-discipline. There's 22 answers, you guys. I answered 19. Okay. Like I said, some of these I've worked on. Some of these, like the compare, the this, the that. I have a lot more understanding of who I am, of my ADHD, how that works, how it doesn't work, what actually is coming from me, what came from someone else. But 19 out of 22. And I have a feeling that a lot of you would also answer very highly because that's where we're at. What were the 22 questions for? That is the childhood emotional neglect questionnaire. So if you scored Okay, so it's not like a specific score, but it says the answers give you a window into the areas in which you may have experienced childhood emotional neglect. So, yeah, you might want to read the book. Pretty sure I got a perfect score. I'm an overachiever. Good one. Well, a strength is I'm hilarious, and a weakness is that I avoid people so no one knows I'm hilarious. Good one. Did you feel sorry for your narc abuser after learning how NPD is created? I feel guilty. Of course I did. I also met their parents. I also met their brother. I know what they come from. I know how they were raised. I know how they got the way that they did. And I knew that before I left and before I really understood NPD. I was like, something's wrong with you, and it's because of this, and that sucks. I feel bad for you. They also told me some things, which I won't say, of course. Not that they deserve my protection, but I don't know if it's true or not, but they told me some things that are actually really horrible from their childhood. And yes, of course, I feel sorry for them, but not sorry enough to ever let them in my life again. And I don't think that they deserve to have anyone in their life until they become self-aware and start doing some work. I'm talking about, no, I don't even think that not aware people who are abusive deserve to have friends because their only friends are around to be used as pawns. So, yeah. Oh, I'm going to have to go get a COVID test tomorrow because my son has a cough and I slept 3 naps today and my throat kind of hurts. And I don't know if it's because I'm tired and I'm talking. I'll have to see how I feel tomorrow. But just because I know COVID is going around again, I don't want to go to work on Tuesday if I'm sick. Because the first time I had COVID, I knew I had COVID before I tested. The second time, I only found out because I was about to get on a plane and I had zero symptoms. But anyway, with another partner with NPD, when you realized it was affecting you, why did you stay? What? The friendships are very one-sided and all about them. Yep. No COVID. That would be number 3 for me, technically. I don't know if I've ever had it. I don't know if I ever had it during the first 2 years, and just never you know how there's lots of other things that lots of other sicknesses. I don't know if I ever had, or if there was another time that I had no symptoms, so I didn't test and just didn't know. How many of us, we don't know. But yeah, that would be the third time. I'm hoping it's not that, but I've been seeing a lot of people having it. Why? What? I didn't understand your question. With another partner with NPD, when you realized it was affecting you, why did you stay? I don't understand the question. All right. I hope you feel better in the morning. Thank you. Me too. I probably should go though so I can have a cup of tea and cuddle my baby and read. We're learning about bees this week. Yesterday we went beekeeping. This is how I'm going to wrap this up. I found a semi-local apiary that offers tours. And so I took my little 5-year-old and put him in a bee suit, and I was in a bee suit, and it was so cute. and he got to put honey on his hand, and a little baby bee came on and like licked the honey off of his finger, and I did it too, and there were like 2 of them, and I was like, oh my goodness, they're so cute. And we got to taste honey and nectar and wax and propolis, and it was really cool, and we learned a lot. And my son's like, can we get bees? And I was like, if we didn't live with his dad, I would probably get the bees and like learn about it with him and like help him learn how to be a beekeeper, because I think it's really cool. But we had to figure out what we're going to do. We had to figure out we're going to live first and see if that's an option. But also he's 5, so I need to make sure he's like actually interested. But I have bees. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I might pick your brain then. I want to learn more about it, and I want to, there's a lot of local farms, so we'll see if we can go a couple more times and see if he's interested. Maybe we'll get some bees at some point. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to go. So thank you all for hanging out tonight. Like I talked about earlier, today was my first group coaching session. I have another one in October. I'm going to keep that going as long as people are interested and could benefit from that. The next one I think is October 8th. So if you want to join, go to calendly.com/TheLindsayGoodman. I also offer one-on-one coaching if that is something that you would like better. Stay tuned. Podcast is published. It's Not All Rainbows every Wednesday. And I will be around. I'll be around. Take care, everybody.